First of all, I want to start off with, if everybody would please unmute, and because I've got some stuff I want to be able to hear if what I'm saying is working or not. And also I want to start off real quick with something different. I will answer any 3 questions. So if anybody has a question they want to ask me, go ahead. Okay. All right. Well, that went well. All right.
I got a question for you. What are the latest products that your industry has been developing in light of the fires and so forth?
That's a good question. Unfortunately, you're not going to like the answers. Every response the companies are coming up with wildfires is more costly than it was before. They are raising deductibles. You can have a wildfire deductible on a commercial building of $100,000 instead of the $5,000 or $10,000 that a lot of commercial buildings will have. Other things on the business income. In order to collect on business income because you were evacuated due to a wildfire, I am seeing in policies that the wildfire has to get within a mile of the business. If it doesn't get that close, and that's pretty dang close, you're not going to be able to collect on business income when you're evacuated. So those are 2 examples of some changes in the industry that that they're making on that condition. Another question.
Yeah, I got a question for you.
Okay.
What kind of workers' comp insurance is available for like remote workers?
That's a good question. They actually, because of COVID and more people are working remotely, they actually introduced a new workers' comp class code under the clerical. Most office workers are clerical. Okay. So the rate for clerical is pretty low, but they have, if you're working from home, if you're a remote office worker, there is a separate class code for you. And that rate is pretty close to clerical, but it's still too new. It takes about 3 years for an insurance company to figure out if they're charging the right rate, because that's when the claims start rolling back in. So I've seen that one. It started out just below clerical. Now it's starting to creep up a little bit and the issue there is, how do you make sure that your employee is ergonomically correct working from home? I can do that at the office, right? Is the computer's at the right height, the keyboard's at the right height, your chair is right. But if you're at home, are you laying in bed on a laptop trying to get 8 hours of work in? That's a little bit more tricky. So it's going to be a few years before that rate settles out. One more.
I have a follow-up, David.
Okay.
The more and more people doing Zoom online and doing home businesses, how does that tie in? Is some kind of damage happens to the business aspect of it, but is there a crossover with home insurance, and how's that work?
No, home insurance, offices and in home insurance, there's some coverage there. But if you're really running a full-fledged company out of your house, you need a commercial policy to cover the equipment, the income from that business. If your house burns down, you're going to want that income covered. And you're also going to want the equipment replaced, especially if you do have clients that do come over. Some people will take a bedroom and turn it into a commercial office, and then maybe even add a door to the outside. And then they have customers that come over once in a while. It doesn't have to be every day, but every now and then they're meeting with somebody. Homeowners policies are not set up for that. You need to have a separate policy for that business. Okay. All right. So what I wanted to talk about a little bit is claims. And I want to start out with actual claim reports. These are what people have written down when they've had a business auto accident. And these are the questions and answers they have given, okay, and statements to what happened. The first one, the claimant had collided with a cow. The question and answers on the claim form were: question, what warning was given by you? Answer, horn. Question, what warning was given by the other party? Answer, moo. Another one. This is the written statement of the accident. A pedestrian hit me and went under my car. One of the things that we have done is with new clients or people that aren't clients is I like to review their policy. There was one longtime client that I've had now, but she asked me to take a look at her policy, and she was told that because of the business she was in, nobody else could write her except the company she was with. So that's a red flag. That's not necessarily true. That is, it's almost never true, but sometimes it is. So I take a look at the policy and go through it. Excuse me. And as I'm going through the policy, I'm seeing all the liability and stuff like that, and looking through it, make sure the forms, deductibles, stuff, and no problem. But then I realized I didn't see something, so I went through the policy again and again, and there was no property coverage on that policy. This person had almost $250,000 worth of stuff that they use in the operation of their business, and none of it was covered on their insurance policy, and she had no idea. So she was not happy, and she's been a loyal customer ever since. I was able to not only write the policy for not much more than she was already paying, all of her property was also covered. And then in light of the wildfires, she's really grateful. So those kinds of things happen all the time. Is somebody is either dealing with a agent that's not in California, or an agent that the business got handed over to a new agent. Nobody's really looking at the policy. So if you run into somebody who has that kind of an experience, that's a great referral. Another one was a bar burned down, and the tenant owned all the equipment in the bar. And so the insurance company says, okay, we will pay, because usually the equipment that's attached to the building is owned by the building owner. Okay. So, but in this case, the tenant had put all that stuff in. So anyway, it all burned down. The company said, okay, we will show proof that you owned all that equipment, and we'll write you a check. Well, all the proof burned up in the fire, right? All the receipts, all the lease agreement, everything was all burned up in the fire. So there was no way to prove it. So he was not happy. An insurance company wasn't going to pay just on somebody's word. They need some kind of proof in order to pay that out. But they ended up, we got Levitt Legal, we got our legal department involved in it, and they asked, would the insurance company take a signed affidavit, not only by the insured, but by the landlord? So both individuals say that this is the tenant's equipment. And the insurance company accepted that and sent him a check the next day for the loss. So that's the kind of extra mile that we go for our clients. We just don't take no for an answer. Another thing is, and I don't want to go too deep into it, but another building had burned down, and this wasn't even one of our clients. The building had burned down, and it was way underinsured. And the other agent just said, well, that's your fault. You're supposed to read the policy. He came to us and asked us if we could help him. And I said, well, ask for a copy of the replacement cost estimator for the building. The other agent never did one. And that is a form you fill out that gets you in the neighborhood of what it's going to cost to put the building back up. We do it all the time for homes. And it's by law, you have to do it for the home, but you don't have to do it for a commercial building, but we do them anyway, just to make sure that we're insured to value. That wasn't that, but he did. We told him, okay, then ask for a copy of the inspection report, because they go out and inspect these properties and take pictures. Now you'll have a bunch of pictures of what was in the building from the insurance company. That was able to prove they should have, because the agents see those inspection reports, there should have been a red flag flying saying, hey, this building is way underinsured. We're not covering for all this extra stuff that's in here. None of this is on the policy. So he was able to go to court, and he was successful. Couldn't tell us how. He had to sign a confidential agreement, but he was able to get enough money to get his building back. So that was another way we helped somebody who wasn't even our client. So And I want to close. My time is up. I want to close on one more. An invisible car came out of nowhere, struck my car, and vanished. There you go. All right, I'm done. Thank you.